Rita Morris. I called because I was really stressed. My life was overwhelming and I couldn't even make a decision. And it was the common feeling. I was shaking, and actually the first time I came to see you, I was that stressed the whole time when we talked. I just kind of shook as we spoke. Life had just gotten too overwhelming for me to deal with, and it was a simple decision I needed to make. It was a profitable decision, and yet I still couldn't make it. It was just too overwhelming. So the first session, if I hadn't have been in desperate need of help, I probably wouldn't have reached out and asked for help or come in to ever make the session. So in that respect, it was a miracle and what I needed at the time. The first session, we worked on things that I never expected to work on. I've been in lots of therapy in my life, lots of counseling sessions, workshops, seminars. I was trying to improve myself, reading lots of books. It wasn't anything I ever expected. To have that much transformation in one session was powerful. And we dealt with things. And he said I didn't even have to tell him what was bothering me or the underlying issues. And believe me, I stuck to that. Like you said on the phone, I didn't have to say what was wrong, and I'm not going to. So I didn't make it easy at all. And he's really good about bringing the dirt out. And he's gifted at that. He digs. So my first session, I already felt better, but I knew that I still wasn't at a point to make a decision. But I went home that night and woke up the next morning, and every light in my house was off. This has to be the biggest miracle that's ever occurred, because my whole life, or any time I can remember, every light has been on in my house. And my mother's here today, and she knows she would come and try to turn the light out after I'd fall asleep, and I would immediately wake up and turn the lights on. And it wasn't just a night light, it was the overhead light. And when I was married, if my husband was out of town, which he was often, every light in the house was on. And I would wake up in the middle of the night to make sure the lights were on the children, full blast. So the fact that was probably the first big surprise to me, that big of a change had happened into my life, that the lights went out. It wasn't even anything that I had expected to find. Now I continued to come to see Robert because I still wasn't ready to make a decision about some things with work, and I was being pushed in different directions to make a decision, and I couldn't. And so we kept getting rid of later. But then I brought my children in. My daughters have been in to see him, my mother, and that's another transformation in my life. I had pretty much cut off the relationship with my family and was pretty much a loner. And now my mother's back in my life, and a lot of my family is opened up back in my life. So there's so many layers of things that have happened. My work just got a big promotion this week, and so things are really moving in my life in all directions. And with my children, my 13-year-old daughter came to see Robert because of her fear of spiders. And it's pretty bad. She'd been eaten up by spiders pretty bad and has a bad reaction and had been hospitalized. And so it's a traumatic situation for her. And so we worked on spiders and a lot of other fears that came up for her. But last night at about 11 o'clock, I was fast asleep, and she screamed. And I went running into her room, and there was a spider. And she was standing there like this. And she knew that I was going to start tapping. She's like, let it go, because she knew we were going to be tapping it out. So we have begun tapping with everybody in the family, and I feel better, more alive, more confident every day. So just highly recommend it.